what are your predictions for 2025? When you look around the country, look around Kigali, what do you predict?
I'm not the prediction type because I'm so much against motivation. So I think I don't like predictions. I think what I should tell people is that us reflecting and looking at how last year went and how things are, we should do only one thing for this year. We should try individually, this is not even as a group, we should try individually to make sure that 2025 is better for us than 2024. Do this individually in everything you do for yourself. Just compete with yourself. When you're up on the food chain somewhere, you don't actually know what's going on down there. Guys will tell you, we actually meet your targets every year, but it's usually, I don't know if you've seen what they call, those victories where they say the winner is so-and-so, Team Money Mayweather, but the guy who won is almost dying as well. Those kind of victories, you don't want those kind of victories this year. This year, you actually want to win and still have enough energy to go.
Close.
Wake up to Kigali in the morning. Lively conversations, hilarious anecdotes, and the hottest hits to put a pep in your step. Weekdays from 6 to 10 a.m.
It's time to step up. You've worked hard, built your success, and now it's time to drive something that matches your ambition. Are you ready to try something different? Something bold, something luxurious, something that turns heads wherever you go. Introducing the VW Terramont. Spacious, powerful, and designed for those who refuse to settle for less. It's not just a car, it's a statement of success. Visit your nearest Volkswagen showroom today or call 0781 924 627.
Volkswagen Terramont. When you think about it, it totally makes sense.
Volkswagen.
Everyone deserves to feel safe at home, at work, and in their community. Gender-based violence tears apart lives and families. Do not be a bystander. If you see something, say something. For support or to report violence, call 3512 and 116. Together, let's work towards a safer future for all. Royal FM cares.
Kigali in the morning brings you the 8 at 8. 8 big questions for a bigger conversation. Sponsored by MTN. MTN. Everywhere you go.
Is it working?
Welcome to 2025. NASA is in the building. Good morning, NASA.
Good morning, my neighbors.
Happy New Year.
Oh no, Asa. No.
I shouldn't have brought that one into this year.
No.
Okay, I'm gonna
Shouldn't
find
have crossed
I'm gonna
into
find a new
2025.
greeting for this year.
Which one is that?
I'm looking for like a Gen Z greeting. Yeah.
What's the gens?
Oh,
I
that
don't know.
sound like-
I don't even
Something
know.
with like
Nobi?
main character energy.
Yeah, look, no. These Gen Zs are driving us super fast, man.
Yeah, I know.
In that we might have the word today and tomorrow it's not trending anymore.
So I like watching their content and reading their stuff and all that. So I put it under a category of my bookmarks called brain rot. So there's a lot of brain rot. Like if you're on, like, you guys put me on TikTok. You said I should join TikTok. Right?
You should join
you've
TikTok.
joined?
Even
TikTok is brain rot. Like you spend hours and hours rotting one side of your brain.
no, even I'm making Jesse join TikTok this
I'm
year.
gonna go to
We have to be
TikTok.
on TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I'm on
I'm
TikTok
actually
already.
not on TikTok, but there's that technique where if someone sends you a TikTok reel,
You can.
you're supposed to open it on your phone, so the phone keeps telling you download TikTok, so you just open it on the laptop.
But that account is already there. If you opened.
No,
then
I didn't
that-
open it on the phone. I opened it on the laptop. On the
Ah.
laptop, you can actually watch.
No, you can watch without.
joining.
But
Oh,
on their
really?
phone, you
Without
automatically
downloading the
open the
app.
account.
But is it TikTok that keeps updating people where you are? Because I don't
can
want
dislocate
people
that.
to know
You can
I
dislocate
think in
that.
your
when
phone,
I've gone to the
It's the
toilet.
settings.
I think in your phone permissions,
So
this is something that is in the Android and also iOS phones, all the phones we have, actually even on the computers, right?
Yeah.
So it's supposed to have permissions to certain parts of your data sets, like for instance, your camera, your location, your microphone, all those things. You're supposed to either accept or deny those permissions, depending on what they need it for. because like I was shocked one time when my calculator was telling me it wants to know my location. I'm like, you're a calculator, why do you want to know my
They want to
location?
calculate your
So
distance.
since none of you is on TikTok, they won't calculate your food you eat and all that. So since none of you is on TikTok, I cannot even ask you the Zulu princess, and none of you has watched that video.
No, we are not trending like in that way. By the way,
Let's
TikTok
move
has
on.
very nice content,
It
which
is,
is
by the way.
educational. It's just that that's not the kind of content I receive in my DMs. I receive brain rot. So as you keep watching TikTok reels, it keeps learning what you like, and it turns out brain rot is quite interesting. You could spend hours, wasting your life away watching.
There are some
that
people who
process.
have a New Year resolution, which is to to cut back on the time they're spending on the gadgets.
I think that's a big thing. That's a big deal resolution, and I hope they can keep it up. But I don't think so. They can keep it up.
Last week we were doing things about resolutions, right? And I told you guys, simplify. Also, be very, very specific in your resolutions. You can't say your resolution is to cut back on the gadgets. That's very generic. It's like saying you want to get fit. Instead, what are you cutting back? Because at work you use the gadget to work, right? So what are you cutting back? Are you cutting back on social media? Are you cutting back on brain rot? Because social
Are you
media
cutting
itself
back
can
on
also
your
be work.
emails, which is impossible?
There are some people who are in marketing. They actually spend time on social media, but not in brain rot. They're actually working. There's proper social media, then there's the other side. It has both sides. It's like a knife. You use it to, spread the bread, or I don't know.
There's a blunt side and there's a sharp side.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been using social media for work. Then I always get this news about Manchester United, which is draining.
It's not draining for NASA. Is that what you're trying to
I
tell
plead
me?
the fifth.
Yes, can we start this show on a clear note?
I have
No
the
one
right
is
to
going
remain
to.
silent.
I get you, brother,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
accept. I agree.
Yeah, by
with
the
you.
way, congratulations. Last night, Manchester
see?
United.
Yeah,
I have the right to remain silent.
Silent.
Yeah.
Manchester United.
I don't even know
Bulldogs.
This
just
one
is
won't
talking
be used
about, yeah.
against you.
Such a
I don't watch
performance,
football.
Such a performance that was exciting for Manchester United. I've just been reading from Bruno Fernandes, Manchester United player, says, "We cannot be satisfied. I'm pretty upset. If we can show this at Anfield, why can't we do this every week? We need to be aware that we need much more from ourselves."
Is it an 8 at 8 conversation that we have? Here?
Yes, it is.
Are you looking at the energy he's putting in?
A lot of emphasis. Too much.
Just say, I have found what you like. And
What
I'm
do
going
I
to tag
like?
on that thread.
Which one?
I'll send
Yeah.
you.
I have a way
Can
in
we
now.
just proceed?
Listen, NASA is here. The conversation today comes from a background where over the past couple of days, this gentleman has been telling us that the best way to stand on the right footing for 2025 is you've got to slow down. We have found this statement to be very, very controversial because, listen, when the year is just beginning, how do you slow down when actually you're expected to be on your feet to make sure you're not missing any opportunity, you're not giving room to fall back to the mistakes of 2024? Good morning, NASA, and why your submission?
I think last week I like the consistency of the things that I tell people out there, because I believe they are more brilliant than I am, and they'll probably figure it out. Also, anyone who follows my advice is in trouble. I mean, you guys don't find me somewhere in an elevator and be like, hey, I followed your advice and it didn't go well. Or, if it goes well, happy to,
Thank
high
God.
five you, thank God. Like,
They can send a tithe.
But by the
A
time, but by the time you're following me, you're following my advice, God help you. Anyways, in terms of consistency, we had a show where we talked about how to set proper resolutions. We were talking about only 3 things: reflect, simplify. When we said reflect, look backwards, see what happened, see what didn't go well, and all that. Then we talked about simplifying, like what you mentioned earlier on. Don't stay off the gadgets. Choose one thing. Stay off the social media, or even on social media. Stay on social media, but maybe limit the time you look at brain rot and look at other parts of it. Like, it has sides and stuff. And the final part, which we mentioned, apart from reflect, simplify, we said commit.
Yes.
So we haven't yet reached that conversation of committing, because committing is quite hard. It's a thing. Whatever you do in the reflection bit and whatever you do in the simplification bit is what actually helps you to commit. And this first part of the year, guys, I know you're jumping into resolutions, this and that, but no, these three things. This sounds like I'm going to discourage you a bit, but it's true. So 2025 is just something that lives in your mind. It's not a real thing. There's no, apart from your phone where it says the date is 2025 and all the calendars and all the things you're writing in at work and your computer systems, 2025 does not exist. Out here on the road, you're still yourself, right? And you're still...
The road has not shifted.
Yes, you're still having the same problems you had. You're still having the same challenges. You still have the same success you had. You still have... So let's first slow down and reflect on that a bit. And why I'm saying slowing down is that reflecting has several parts. There's looking backwards. There's also doing a bit of research and saying, with the resolutions I've done this year, am I able to achieve? What kind of person am I? What have I done right? What could I do right? What could I change? And all that. This is the best time, actually. Think of it this way. Just say you're the one who drives, right? So imagine if you're on the gas and you keep going, and you're like at 120. In Kigali 60. You're at 60 and you're going in the wrong direction. And then you get to a point maybe somewhere where you're like, I think I'm getting lost. I'm not reaching the place they told me. What do? You slow down, ask the guys around there, is this the right direction to this place? Now, the problem is, if you actually realize that you need to slow down maybe 10 kilometers into the journey, yet the journey is 20, you've already done half. But if you slow down at the beginning, maybe at 2 kilometers and say, let me consult Google, let me consult people, let me see if I'm going in the right direction. Now is the best time to slow down. A lot of you are going to slow down maybe in June, July, mid-year, but I think you should slow down now, sit down, reflect, and then take the right direction. I don't know if I'm making sense.
So, the year is starting, and to be specific, today, 6th, lots of people have returned back to work and returning with a lot of energy, with very optimistic, which is good. I don't think it's bad. And they are starting on this point of push, taking it very fast.
Strategic preparation. Momentum.
Build
the momentum.
That's not a problem.
There's someone who I saw whose status was saying, yes, like, is it ready, steady, like, let's go, like the marathon has started, so are you trying to talk about people like that? Like, will they crash along the way?
No, the momentum is just one dimension of it, right? So the momentum is what pushes you in a certain direction. Now, the slowing down is, are you pushing in the right direction? You've seen those guys who launch rockets, right? Like Tesla, Elon Musk and his SpaceX people, when they're launching rockets in space, right? They make sure the thing is pointed upwards. Now, you need to slow down and know, is it pointed sideways? Is it pointed upwards? Whatever your momentum is now, I don't know, you need that energy, right? It's fuel to your car. But is your car going in the right direction? So now is the time for you guys to sit down and reflect. The holidays are done. Your relatives have gone back. Jaden and all those other guys are back in Europe and wherever. So you guys need to sit down now
Jaden did it also.
and get rid of all the noise and first sit down and reflect and say, now that all these guys are gone, how did last year go for me? How was the beginning of the year? How was the middle? These things cannot be done with a group of people. You need to do this on your own. Slow down, relax, take a moment, and then realize, if I'm setting goals for this year, why did I fail last year? Was I not realistic? Maybe you were realistic. By the way, most of the times your goals are realistic. I think like 90% of people out there set realistic goals because they know themselves. The only problem is maybe the way they calibrate these things is the problem. Because I remember talking to someone recently and telling them, for now, don't commit to 12 months, commit to 3 months. Jan, Feb, March. Then when
Short
RRA
term.
finishes to help you declare your taxes in March, then commit to another 3 months. Like, do a quarter. Yeah.
Let's look at this. Most of my businesses operated under a loss last year. So we sit with the teams to have conversations, and together we agree. We know our position. We did not have a strong year. You know what happened last year. We had elections. So many things were going on. We had the inflation skyrocketing here and about. And then we came to an agreement. The first quarter is our time to bring our energies together to be able to meet deadlines and targets, and also compensate for the losses of 2024. Basically, grab or like they say, grab the bull
Opportunity cost.
by its horns. Now, how would you suggest individuals and teams balance the need to slow down with the urgency to meet these early, targets and deadlines?
That's why I'm saying the targets or the deadlines is not the speed I'm talking about. I'm talking about the thought process behind it. So it's good you bring up the teams, right? So imagine we are doing a strategy for the first quarter now, right? And we're trying to get those targets in, we're trying to get that money and all that. I think what we need to do is reflect on why we made losses last year, and then we see that we future-proof ourselves in this first quarter, and we test all the new strategies now. Now is the time to actually be looking into those things and say, guys, remember when we were doing elections, we moved too quickly, and then we spent so much on this and that, and it came in late. Are we doing the same thing now? Or where could we cut back now, which we could use later, maybe media when things slow down a bit, because now everything is high octane, right? So these are the kind of conversations you're having. These conversations, it sounds like slow down in terms of speed, but I think it's slow down in terms of thought process. Slow down and reflect. Right now is the time to sit with your teams and get their feedback on how things went. Usually when you're up on the food chain somewhere, you don't actually know what's going on down there. Guys will tell you, we actually meet your targets every year, but it's usually, I don't know if you've seen what they call, those victories where they say the winner is so-and-so, Team Money Mayweather, but the guy who won is almost dying as well. Those kind of victories, you don't want those kind of victories this year. This year, you actually want to win and still have enough energy to go for another round.
Is January the right month for companies to be doing staff retreats, or should it be end of year to look at the year that has been and then January to engage?
So the end of year retreat is brain rot. It's that thing where you guys are feeling good about yourselves and enjoying all the fruits of labor of the whole thing.
And office romance.
But isn't it
Yes,
nice? Isn't it refreshing?
It's refreshing, but
Office
it's
romance
that
when
time
you
when you
have to
guys
go
are
to the
pretending
beaches.
to like each other, and yet we just
What
work
kind of
there.
nonsense are you guys talking
It's
about?
brain rot. So
It's like you're trying to say that it's very fine to have office romance.
no. So now, beginning of the year is actually the best time now to have what we call operational planning. It's like a retreat, but we are talking about
We're strategizing.
how are we going to get this year done. There's so much we don't know. Can we commit to the first 3 months? What can we do in the first 3 months? What can we look out for? How can we future proof? How can we, because we know these things. You've been running in this market for quite a while now. There are certain things that will surprise you, like COVID-19, but
There's another new virus in China now.
the election was not a surprise. Everyone knows the election comes around that time, right? So that was not a surprise. But there are things that will surprise you. Those are the things we need to start future-proofing about right now. Also, are we moving in the right direction? Also, Jesse, I hope you don't run those kind of companies like the ones in, is it that Smith guy who wrote capitalism books and whatever, where he talks about you need to cut the number of employees to meet the balance sheet for the...
Cut the cost where necessary.
No, not cut costs, because I know companies back in the day in the
Cut
80s.
numbers.
In the 80s and the 70s, so just in the 80s and the 70s, companies used to try and make a profit because it was capitalism like what it is now. And the CEO's job was to increase the shareholders' stake. Like it was to make profit for the shareholders. That has always been the role of the CEO. So what happened is there was a trend that came around in the US where they said, if we've failed to increase the profit for the shareholders, like what happened to you last year, where you have some losses, which are understandable because it's elections, you cut back on something else that's essential to still make the shareholders happy, which means, for instance, you lay off people, even if they're useful.
Whereby it wasn't even their fault when that happened.
No, you lay off people because you want to make the numbers. For you, it's not how, you don't care how the company operates. You care about the numbers. If the stock price is 6.0 and now I have to cut to 2.0 because I'm losing 4 on losses for the election, instead of actually taking these numbers to the shareholders and telling them, we'll do better next quarter, we're going to increase and then we'll get you to 8 or something. You say, no, I still have to make 6.0, find a way to cut other parts of the, lean the whole
To
thing
impress
out.
the shareholder.
That is a terrible way.
Now, let me just wonder, NASA, is this industry specific or it cuts across that every industry must slow down?
It cuts across. It's a new year. We don't know.
I think the word slow down is one that is kind of annoying Jesse and is simply not getting. I think people need to
slowing
the
down
word
could
slow
just
down
give
is
you a
annoying because for him is on
mindset
a
of-
180.
Like I've been waiting for 6th of January. Like I've been telling everyone, I just cannot wait to get back to work.
Okay, let's just use 2 words now, right? Reflect on last year. Now is the time. Actually have those operational plannings for this
What
year.
if I reflected in December?
Yeah, you need to reflect again because now this is a different time. And then put a pin in it. And then the next part is simplify as much as possible. I give you an
when
example.
do we commit?
Of course, you're going to commit after simplification. No, you're going to commit. You're going to commit, but now you first need to simplify things. You see, I gave you an example, which is the first strategy is break it down in quarters. Don't commit to 12 months. Commit to 3. Commit to 3 months. After 3 months, we'll revise again. Commit to another 3. Then we've reached half the year. Trust me, this will work.
Don't give yourself long time that you won't be able to.
Because you will relax. The moment you say, we have to meet these targets in December, December is so far off from today, so I'm not going to be on pressure on something that's in December.
So we should do quarterly, 3 months.
In quarters, you actually know, you're like, I need to see this in 90 days, so we have exactly 90 days, let's get moving. And I know it sounds counterintuitive because now that increases the tempo and the speed.
Yeah,
but
and that's why I'm asking, so where is the... Again, we're supposed to slow down.
You're supposed to slow down in the thought process. Whatever you're doing, stop. Right now, sit down, reflect. Then you can keep running. Okay, if your business has operations that are the day-to-day, the ones that are no-brainers, those ones have to keep running as usual. Finance department, HR department, I don't know, marketing department. I think marketing needs to reflect because those are the guys that put messages out there. Sales also needs to reflect. This is the time. This is the best time for them to reflect and commit on something. That's what I meant by slow down.
As we come to the end of this conversation today, slowing down, rearrange your thoughts on how to attack 2025 before 2025 attacks
Reset.
you.
But 2025 is not real. You do realize, let's say in Ethiopia...
Okay, so what is... No, so Ethiopia is a different world. For them, they're not even reached.
In China, they're in the year of the... I'm forgetting which year it is. There was the year of the monkey, the year of... I'm going to check which year China is in. But
so is it ideal for me to say I'm not actually my age? I could be younger.
No, when you're in Ethiopia, your age doesn't it's not the same when
I'm
you're
younger, like I'm a
when you're the other side, you're more younger.
I don't believe that. But
that's what happens. I have a friend of mine, she's actually Ethiopian. When she's here, she's 23. I mean, when she's here, she's 28. When she goes to Ethiopia, she's 23. And I'm like, God, but how do you do this?
So what would I be in Ethiopia? 12?
I don't know. Listen, Nasa, what are your predictions for 2025? When you look around the country, look around Kigali, what do you predict?
I'm not the prediction type because I'm so much against motivation. So I think I don't like predictions. I think what I should tell people is that us reflecting and looking at how last year went and how things are, we should do only one thing for this year. We should try individually, this is not even as a group, we should try individually to make sure that 2025 is better for us than 2024. Do this individually in everything you do for yourself. Just compete with yourself. Say, where are the areas I'm going to improve myself? It's easy for you to make your baby steps. Other people won't know what's going on with you because they won't see it, but for you, you'll know. It will make a lot of sense. You're much happier this year if you're actually comparing yourself to you.
To the last
try and improve
the last year of
small
2024.
bits and pieces, small details. Look for those family members you're not talking to anymore. Yeah,
for what?
There's small
Anyway.
things.
Important.
In Ethiopia, it's 2017.
It's 2017 in Ethiopia?
Yeah, for them, they are still in 2017.
Will those guys ever win the World Cup?
For what? In 2017, when it arrives. In Ethiopia, it's 2017. For us here, we are in 2025.
You could actually find that Ethiopia is the one with the right year, where the rest of us strayed off into the future.
So we rushed our years.
Yeah, we could actually be on the wrong path. Have you ever met those situations where there's only one person in the room that's right, and you're all laughing at the right person?
I know.
You remember the story of Jesus?
But who knows these years?
Everyone
who came
laughed.
up with these years?
They just started from before Christ and after
That's
Christ.
what I'm
And
saying.
started
like
counting.
That's
I'm
why I'm
sure we
saying
lost the
they're not
count at some-
real. Time is not real. It is
Just
relative.
celebrate, be in a moment for
Hey.
now. Don't stress.
Yeah, because I could also come up with my own scale of measuring time and say the day had 36 hours.
Yeah.
You
could also come with your own whatever age and you just say, I'm no longer 29. I'm 23. Who cares?
And then you know
Who
those
was
graphs we used
No,
to
I
draw
could
in
also
economics.
just say I'm the oldest man in the world.
Jesse, you remember
Okay,
those?
so
Remember those graphs we used to draw in economics? We had graphs with curves and whatever,
Yes.
and they had like units on each side, years, and then this and that. So Jesse, now you could actually come up with a graph and say on the x-axis it's number of angry squirrels waiting for me in my neighborhood, and then on the y-axis you put whatever other measure you have.
Guys, we cannot start the year like this.
Kigali in the morning brings you